angry people out there, when I put Simeon Brown up, they're going to be angrier with me, those people, because of who I'm putting on screen right now.
Karen.
I love it when I go into see his Facebook tweets coming through and that, and someone's calling him Karen in the thing. It's just chef's kiss. Yeah. So I'm sorry, folks, for bringing this up for you, but I need to say to you that this is actually mostly about the Free Speech Union, this little part we're doing now. I know, people, it's okay. If we hold hands, we can do this together. I know, it's okay.
Deep breaths, happy thoughts.
Deep breaths, because what this is doing is we're just, and Oliver, that's the other thing that I like seeing as well, because he made a big deal about Mihindarangi Forbes not using her first name when his first name is Oliver.
I do like, one of my contracts that I work with privately is with a local government organization, and we make a point of using Te Reo Māori in some of the postings that we do, and you will always get people who comment about it. They always fit into a very specific sort of category, such as one of Oliver's audience members. And one of the things that seems really weird is that they'll always have a name like Dave or Janie or something that's quite clearly not what's on their birth certificate, complaining about the use of a Te Reo name. It's always very strange.
Okay, so this is actually probably mostly about the Free Speech Union. Since we've been doing this, I've been saying to you guys that the Free Speech Union are a right-wing psyop. It's like we hear about what the Atlas Network does, whether you believe or don't believe that's it. We're not going to get into that, but the accusation is they get into a lot of free speech groups and they use the kind of cover of free speech to put through alt-right talking points. Now, I want to show you this because the Free Speech Union 99 times out of 100 supports right-wing propaganda, and they stand up for right-wingers to do what they got to do. Now, there is one thing that they often go the other way for, and that's drag queen story time. Is that right? That's right.
Yep.
Drag queen story time. And this is an episode where the Free Speech Union are talking to Karen Oliver about drag queens and defending their right to say what they've got to say. However, the difference is the Free Speech Union also want you to know that drag queens are perverts. Not my words. Don't be offended by me. I'm just giving this to you. You need this information. So they come out and they stand up for drag queen story time and for their right to speak, but they want us all to make sure that we are aware that drag queens are a perversion. Have you ever heard them say the opposing of something on the right? I would say not. And even saying that, who says all drag queens are left wing? You know what I'm saying? But they're taken as. And so I want to play this for you. It's only 60 seconds. And I just wanted to show for you this, as Chewy says, this, what does he call them? A pile of melting pancake batter. And the Free Speech Union talking about the right for these people to say what they want to say. But by the way, they're perverts, but the right for them. Just have a listen.
Get it?
Yeah, but councils also have to reflect the morality of their communities.
Oh,
and
really?
I come back to it, a basic thing. This is blokes who dress up as parodies of women reading stories to children. It just seems perverted to me, Jonathan. Does it not seem perverted to you?
Personally, I absolutely think it is.
You think it's a perversion?
I am willing to accept. I certainly think it is, and I think a lot of other Kiwis do as well. But
there you go. I think it is. A lot of other Kiwis do as well. Now, he goes on to talk about, about Bethlehem College, and some people might see that as perverted. But he didn't come out saying that about Bethlehem College.
No.
But he did want to make sure that we were aware that the spokesperson from the Free Speech Union is standing up for the right of these people who he's calling perverts to say what they want to say. And I wanted to spell that out to you. There's more about this, Paul, but I can see you frothing at the mouth there when we're going to move to talking about what Brian Tamaki is up to. But you first, please, sir.
This argument always bugs me. I've grown up around drag queens. I know a number of drag queens and drag performers, and I know a number of people who work with kids and children. And there's one thing that's really sort of common in what they're all doing, and it's that they're going out to entertain and find ways to keep people doing fun stuff, interesting stuff. Drag Queen Story or Drag Time Story Hour, we vet it, you run it past police checks, you make sure that all of those safety procedures are in place as you would for somebody who is running a scout troop or a Girl Guides troop. They go through the same stops and checks. The only difference is that this is a performer who is performing as somebody opposite to the gender that they generally present with. It's no different to performers who do like the human statues, for example. They're not statues, but they're still performing. It's such a beat up because it's an easy target, because it's something that seems to be clearly visible, that the right wing love to froth at the mouth about, and they come across as nasty no matter how they do it. And the FSU doing we respect their right to free speech, but they're perverted. That just completely undoes any kind of sympathy that they would get from anyone who thinks that they do actually stand up for free speech.
It also gives the bigots who are sitting in this camp of free speech the right to continue their bigotry. It gives permission to those free speech absolutists, which doesn't exist, by the way. There's no such thing as free speech absolutists. No. If you think there is, try sending a death threat to a politician. You'll find out pretty quickly there's no such thing as free speech absolutum. But there's these people who say that. Now they also have permission to go, oh, okay, so I can take a half step back and pretend that I'm supporting their work, but acknowledging that this is what I really think of them. That's what it does as well.
Yeah, it undercuts everything that they say they stand for.
The other thing I always find funny is these are the same kind of middle-aged white men sort of thing that throughout time have found, the names just jumped out of my head. You know, when in the UK, pantomime.
Oh,
Panto is such a fantastic thing where often you have cross-dressing male as female characters and all this kind of stuff. And it's hilarious. They think it's hilarious. But for some reason, if it's drag queen story time, all of a sudden it's wrong.
It's still a man in a dress performing for kids.
Yep, they love it. Another part of this conversation I want to go into as well is about old Brian. Rotorua Library's Rainbow Storytime event has been cancelled due to security concerns amid hostile dialogue and a rapid spread of misinformation, the council says. It comes after Destiny Church leader Brian Tamaki last week pledged to shut down the event, prompting calls for a counter-protest to protect attendees. Two Rotorua Lakes Council elected members clashed over differing views of the event. The free event planned for Thursday would have seen Taranaki drag queen entertainers Coco and Erica Flash reading children's books such as Giraffes Can't Dance. That is such a good book. The council, Giraffes Can't Dance is all about a giraffe who can't dance, and he gets taught how to let himself go because of the music, and all of a sudden he becomes the most beautiful dancer in the jungle. It's a great
It sounds
story.
amazing.
Yeah, it is an amazing story. The event, yada, yada, yada. The council released a statement this afternoon, this was late last week, advising the event will no longer be held. It said Rainbow Storytime was a family-friendly event aimed at younger children, including book reading, singing and dancing. The event is focused on acceptance, anti-bullying, inclusion, being kind and having confidence in yourself. It has been a popular event in many other libraries, and registration for the event at Rotorua Library were full. Unfortunately, due to safety concerns, we have had to make the decision to cancel the event. And there's one more thing from this thing. This is Brian Tamaki. Tamaki told New Zealand Herald on Wednesday, in his view, it defied belief parents and grandparents had to stand up against drag queens reading to 3-year-olds in a public library. But finally, common sense has prevailed and the Rotorua Library event has been cancelled. He said it should not have to take him or his church to protest before, in his opinion, inappropriate events such as this were reconsidered. But he was always happy to lend assistance to this cause. Tamaki had said he had set his sights on upcoming Gisborne and Hastings events. The protests were never going to be violent, he said, and protesters believed they had the right to voice their concerns. Let the voice of those protecting the next generation continue to be strong and speak up, stand up, and be prepared to show up. Now from the lovely Calvin Morgan today, let's just play this and then we'll finish up this topic. You ready? This is
I was going to say, did you see the message from Calvin in the chat?
No, I didn't, but I didn't see what it was, but let's play one of his clips.
He's got something to show us in about 10
Twitter.
minutes.
I've run probably hundreds. I've run probably hundreds of protests and many stands, and not one single one have I been a part of that's been violent. They've all been peaceful, and we're known for non-violence. So the thuggery and all that stuff is just a myth. It's been, using their terms, misinformation and disinformation from from the left and those people who know very well that when we turn up, we seem to send them packing, you know, and we don't use that sort of force. We use...
We could keep going. This can play in the background while we're talking, Paul. But yeah, you can see no violence there at all, none whatsoever from the Destiny Church people.
They were so pleasant at the Posey Parker rally on their little motorbikes, without lovely and charming, and didn't accidentally run into any MPs at all. Like it's absolute crap. I find it funny though that he seems to genuinely believe that when he reads a headline about we wanted to avoid violence, that he's not the person who's causing that violence. He just doesn't seem to see it. Everybody else can, even his followers can, but there seems to be something that doesn't quite click in his brain about it.
Yes, so that's the drag queen story time. I don't know why I struggle with those words. My brain doesn't quite click them together very well. But look, Brian Tamaki is not the voice for the next generation. Brian Tamaki is not the person to follow. And look, I know lots of people who have been a part of Destiny Church. And typically what happens with a lot of them is they come to a point in their life where they're going, why are we pushing back against this? And they see it slightly differently and they move on. I remember speaking to another, or actually not speaking, hearing, I won't even say which church it is, but hearing research done on a particular church, mega church in Auckland, which is one of the kind of Pentecostal ones. And there was an active drive to need to get some horrifically high number, like 2,000 or 1,000 new people through the door every year. And the reason was because there was 1,500 walking out the other door. So they needed to keep their numbers up because there were so many going out the other door. My understanding is it's quite similar at our Destiny Church. So they need this presence. He needs to be this voice who puts out to the public, we are the ones to follow. We are the moral majority. We are the moral voice piece in New Zealand. And that will drag a certain number of people into the church. And then they'll find out more about, like, you can't be a leader in Destiny Church if you drink one drop. They will never give money to people. And look, I'll be honest with you, because I used to criticize Destiny Church a lot, I thought I'd better go and check them out. So I've been several times to watch, and I've heard this from the front. They will never give money to people. They'll give gifts to people in need. They'll give food packages, but they'll never give money. That was told to me at the Tauranga branch of Destiny Church when I was doing my research. And all I could think was, imagine if you're a person down the back with a problem with alcohol, being told you can never be a significant person if you drank a touch. Imagine if you just needed $100 to pay your power bill, and this place that you're going that's supposed to support you is saying we never give money. It's just the rules and the construction around them doesn't keep people for very long, is my understanding.
No. And Brian has spent decades picking on a target and trying to make that the next victim of who it is that he's going to be bullying. There was the Enough is Enough rally that he did, stand up for values. There was the weird sort of faux court case that he held on the steps of Parliament a couple of years, but there's always somebody he has to vilify, because if he's vilifying people, then those other people who believe in him are coming up and going, well, how do we do this? How can I help you? And here's some money to make it happen. And he and his wife sit there going, cool, thanks. We need a new Tesla or a new motorbike, so this will come in really handy.